Hey guys, okay, so now that you've got some background on the different pieces of evidence for evolution, we're just going to do some practice together with identifying what type of structure a certain example is. So remember, our three options are homologous structures, vestigial structures, or analogous structures. For each of these, you need to fill in on your notes which type of structure you think it's an example of and why. Make sure you go back to your notes and try to use your notes to figure out what it's an example of. Okay, the first one is a dolphin fin and a human arm. You can see a picture of it on the left and a description on the right. So the dolphin fin and human arm have similar structures, however the functions are different. The function of each limb is used to complete different tasks or used for different methods of survival. The dolphin's pectoral flipper is used for steering and carving through the water to make fast turns, while using their back flipper to push them forward. Dolphins also use their flipper to touch and feel other dolphins for communication purposes. Humans, however, use their arm for many other tasks like climbing a rock structure that may be in one's way. Okay, what type of structure is this an example of and why? Take a few minutes or a minute to figure that out and write it down on your notes sheet. When you're done, you can play the rest of the video to go to the next example. Okay, the next example is the flipper of a whale, you can see it in the left, and the fin of a fish on the right. A whale's flipper and a fin of a fish are both used for swimming for the two animals. However, the structure of both of these parts are much different. What type of structure is this an example of and why? Okay. The next structure is the formation of goosebumps. So goosebumps form in humans usually under stress. Its function in human ancestors was to raise the body's hair, making the ancestor appear larger and scaring off predators. The reflex of producing goosebumps is known as the pilomotor reflex. It occurs in many mammals besides humans. For example, porcupines. Porcupines raise their quills, kind of like goosebumps, when they're threatened, or sea otters also have goosebumps when they encounter sharks or other predators. So currently, humans don't really need them, but it still happens. So what type of structure is this an example of and why? Okay, the last structure are the mouth parts and the antennae of different insects, such as grasshoppers, the honeybee, the butterfly, and the mosquito. The mouth parts are very similar structurally, so they have similar structures. However, their mouths are used for different purposes. For example, the grasshopper uses their mouth to bite and chew, while the honeybee bites only and the butterfly sucks pollen. So they have similar structures, but they're using their structures for different functions, different purposes. So which type of structure is this an example of and why? Okay, let's go back through and see if you got it right. So the first one, because they have similar structures but different functions, we call it a homologous structure. So for number one, you should have homologous structure. Same structure, different functions. Okay, the second one, they have the same function. They're both used for swimming. However, the structure is different. So we call it an analogous structure. So this is an example of an analogous structure. Same function, but different structure. Okay, the next one with the goosebumps, that's a vestigial structure. We don't really need goosebumps anymore, but we still have them because of our ancestry, because of that common ancestor having it. So this is an example of a structure we don't use anymore, so a vestigial structure. Okay, the last one, mouth parts have similar structures, but they're used for different functions or different purposes. So we call these different mouth parts homologous structures. Same structure, different function.